What is up, YouTube? This is T.1 coming at you with another video, and today I'm going to be talking to you about the Extraordinary Voyages. Now, if we're talking ambitious book series, then this has to be near the top, encompassing 54 loosely interconnected novels, nearly the entirety of author Jules Verne's bibliography, spanning cities, continents, and even planets. They've become iconic works of literature. Well, a couple of them have. Yeah, everybody knows Around the World in 80 Days or 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea and Journey to the Center of the Earth, but what about all the others? I'm not trying to grandstand here. I haven't read them either. It's hard to get a quality copy of most of these, but it does seem like kind of a bummer that so few of them are talked about. So I'd like to start a little series. I don't know how many I'm going to get to, but I'd like to cover some of the most obscure entries in the Extraordinary Voyages. And it's just cool to shine a light on the lesser known titles of one of my literary heroes, starting with Jules Verne's 1880 novel, The Steam House. Before I start, I'd like to thank independent publisher David Petault, who's been selling a lot of Verne's backlog in new accessible translations on Amazon. Doing God's work, buddy. You gotta love a book that's so old it changes genre, right? When this came out, it was an adventure novel with sci fi elements, but now it's a steampunk historical novel in the year 2024. The story revolves around a group of friends who travel post Sepoy Rebellion India in a mechanical, steam powered elephant. Which sounds a lot like satire when you say it out loud, but as with most of Verne's books, it's achingly sincere. And it is a cool image. The imagination here is really hard not to get swept up in. Also, the story keeps your attention. There are a lot of twists and turns and memorable set pieces. Some of my personal favorites include a harrowing monsoon sequence near the end of the first act and an extended stay with a royal's vast menagerie of exotic animals. I'm not well researched enough to tell you if Verne's vision of India is accurate, but I can say I was riveted by the descriptions. It's a fascinating place at a fascinating moment in time, and the episodic structure of the book illuminates every corner of it through the various adventures and vignettes. The character work is not especially strong. They're likable, but they basically each get one trait, and most of their conversations boil down to them expressing that. Monroe is stoic, Hod is a hunter. This is especially true of the narrator character Mockler, who is little more than a set of eyes. There were whole sections of the book where I forgot his name, and there's a lot of conversations where he's barely even active in them, and it's just all the side characters discussing the various themes and ideas. But even if none of them are that compelling on their own, the friendship they share is believable, and it helps give the story actual stakes and emotion, even when the writing is a little thin. Look, much as I loved him as a kid, Verne is a deeply flawed writer, and it's not an issue of being dated either, because even at the time he was hit with this criticism. But he sometimes has the Tolkien issue of favoring world building and ideas over characters and emotion. Those are always weaker stories, in my opinion. The Steam House, though, like a lot of his best work, makes up for that with the sheer creativity and enthusiasm here. It can be difficult to tell a story driven by spectacle in the printed media because, well, you're not seeing any of this stuff. But Jules always used that to his advantage because in the theater of your mind, some of these images are just wondrous. I mean, as I've already said, the Steam House is a cool idea. And while I don't know if I should credit Verne with this or Petault, given this is his translation, but this is not as dryly written as some of Verne's weaker books. There's not whole chapters about facts and figures and measurements, and it's impossible to read those without thinking,
I don't give a fuck.
there's really not much else to say with regards to the Steam House. It's a fun little adventure novel, and it's worth the attention, especially given how obscure it's become since its release. I'm going to give it an 8 out of 10. This is T.1 signing